Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for BroadwayWorld. We're here at the legendary Sardi's, and my guest is nominated for a Tony Award this year for Best Featured Actor in a Play for his electrifying performance in the hit revival of Take Me Out. Please say hello to Michael Oberholtzer. I am so thrilled to be sitting with you here on the fourth floor of Sardi's.
That's right. Me too.
You've never been up here, have you?
No, I have been. I've been up here a few times. I think we did a few. Yes, I've been up here.
Of course you have.
It's Sardi's.
It's Sardi's.
Yeah.
You were here for other award shows.
Sure.
Hand to God.
Yes.
Luncheons.
Yes.
Award shows.
Of course. We did. I think we even did maybe an opening night toast here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did.
It's Sardi's.
Well, it is thrilling to have you back here today. You are giving one of the fiercest, most ferocious performance I have seen this season, because I think I told you this before. I was a huge fan of the original production of Take Me Out. I saw Frederick Weller create it. I saw Paul Sparks take over. And then I watched you and I was like, wow, where you take this role of Shane. And I just want to say, you are so brilliant at what you do. What have you enjoyed the most about playing Shane and being a part of Take Me Out?
Well, first of all, those are two very, very good actors. I'm very, I'm a fan of both of those actors, and I had actually been in correspondence with Fred a little bit about this. At some point, I just had to reach out. I felt compelled to reach out to him. I knew he was at opening night. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but we were corresponding through friends through an email, and he said, after about 8 months of doing Shane, I reached out to Richard, and I was like, wait a second. You've done this for 8 months. He did it for longer than 8 months. But I felt so much of Fred's contribution in that. I know that Richard really, really loves him, and they're longtime collaborators, and I've developed and workshopped plays with playwrights, and so I know how instrumental and important the actor is with the playwright. And so I just intuitively felt that Frederick Weller was in Shane, and the joy and the challenge of working this and understanding this and figuring out and doing it every night I felt this kinship in some very, very bizarre theatrical way to him. And but in answer to your question, what do I like the most about it? That's a really tough question. I mean, I love all of Richard Greenberg's plays. I love this one, I think, the most. Not just because I'm in it. I'm sure that has something to do with it, but I love listening to this play. There's every scene, all the moments, everybody does such a good job. There's so many ideas in it. They're so relevant. They're so timely. I think that's one of the things I enjoy the most. And then I love the challenge of, being in a play that people are resonating with and knowing what's ahead, knowing what's coming, and knowing that the audience doesn't, and knowing that there will be, because we've done it now for a while, that there will be reactions, there will be visceral kind of feedback, not knowing what that will be for that given night, but having the excitement of knowing, there's things that are going to come, there's things that are happening. We're going to continually tell this story and draw you in and continually, play with how you feel about these people. And that's never as tiresome. That is always enjoyable when you hear the gasp of that's the part of the story. Oh my, mean, you never get tired of that reaction. You just know that you're right on that high wire, right on that fine line, and you're just doing it ever so, just gently, and then and they're right there with you. To be on a stage on Broadway and to have that kind of interaction with an audience on a nightly basis, there is nothing like it.
Yeah. Challenges of playing him. I mean, there has to be so many. I mean, physically and emotionally, and just vocally what you go through. Because specifically, I want to talk about the scene in the second act. I mean, I've never seen that scene played that way before, with the three of you in that room. And I think you and I had a conversation about this. Explain that scene. You don't have to give anything away, but it's so visceral and so ferocious of what you put out there 8 times a week for that scene. And I was wondering, you were working with Scott Ellis on this. What, broke that scene up for you? Like, what put you on the right track for that breakdown that your character has?
Well, most of the credit really should go to Richard Greenberg. I mean, it's really it's a nearly perfectly constructed scene in terms of Shane's point of view. And it's not linear, and it's difficult to kind of figure out the emotional truth and through line of it because there's so much unconscious things that are being revealed and coming out, and there's lots of misdirected anger, and so finding that and giving that shape, that's really what Scott was able to come in and use his mastery and make sure that we are, just telling exactly the story that we're telling each and every single moment and making sure that we're building to something at the very, very end. And he's brilliant at that. I mean, for me, the secret has always been, it's not really a secret at this point, but it's always been playing full out. We always have rehearsed that scene at 100%, and from start to finish. It was never something that we kind of went in and we're tweaking like beats and moments. Like it just never seemed to make sense to work that way. And I was, and we always were finding things. It's also important to note that I'm not on stage alone during that important scene. Patrick Adams and Jesse Williams are incredible scene partners, and they have both, like myself, have evolved over the course of the run. And they are giving me so much behavior and so much feedback that they're really making my job easier in that way because it's all really, really happening for all of us. And then just the vocal challenges. I mean, that's really a lot of what it comes down to is working with Kate Wilson, who is, she's one of our very, very best on Broadway. And she really created a foundation not only for me, but for the whole company, but for me specifically on how to kind of vocally warm up and prepare and really think of the voice as is the body. The body is your voice. And I don't think that I ever had an opportunity with a role to even think of it that way. And so Shane is like the whole thing. It's not just the voice. So I spend a good amount of time just warming up the entire body in a way that I've never done with any other part.
Because you're like a caged animal.
That's right.
You're like a caged animal, and
That's right.
It's a fiery scene. I'm like, how does he do this on a Sunday?
Oh, Sundays, I love Sundays. Sundays I give everything every night, but Sundays are always a little special for me because it's the last show of the week, and whatever's in the tank, they're going to get it all, and I do try to prepare myself all week so that we can get to the end of the week. Because this scene requires everything. It is I'm literally being pulled off stage, and Eduardo and Iram are doing the absolutely incredible job, just pulling me off of stage until vocally I'm just done for the day. And so, whatever's left on Sunday, there's always a little extra sauce at the bottom, and I just throw that right on top. And
I read where you said Shane is like. He's hungry, like you're always hungry. Tell me about that, what you meant by that.
It wasn't really something that I consciously thought about.
Yeah.
It's not a methodology that I have practiced, but it kind of just developed over the course of reading the play and rehearsing it. Part of it too is I never have liked to go on stage with full. I don't like to eat a lot before. I like to be hydrated and have a little bit in my stomach. But with this in particular, I really watch what I eat because there's something that's so hungry about Shane, and it makes sense. And I find that connecting that visceral hunger to the immediacy of what's the circumstances of what's happening, it just is wedded very, very seamlessly. And so that's just something that I decided early on. Like, I think this works. I think I'm just going to continue to do it, prepare this way.
Oh, I love that. No, I think that's great because it's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk about working with the finest group of actors.
Yeah.
What's it like sharing the stage with all of them?
I really, because they get to say these beautiful words, working on a beautifully constructed play, watching each of them bring their artistry and their humanity to this and continually work it and try it and evolve it, and we laugh about these things, and we're always talking about little moments, and it's a real pleasure, and some of these guys, this is their first rodeo on Broadway, and that's a really, really, it's a big deal, and to be able to be a part of that, to share that memory with them. I'll never forget those moments in my life and who was there for that, and I hope that I am one of those people in their lives. And so, yeah, and Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Jesse Williams and Patrick, they're the absolute best kind of quote unquote celebrities you could hope to work with.
Yeah.
They're exceptional actors, and they're even better human beings. They really are. I really respect them, and I enjoy them, and they're wildly entertaining. Jesse Tyler there is no one like him, as we all know, and Patrick is one of the best scene partners I could ask for, and of course Jesse Williams. He's what he's able to do, on Broadway in this part. With little to no stage experience it's a real testament to his just innate talent and ability. So, yeah.
You're a tight company backstage too, aren't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I would say so, yeah. We all have, we all have our own relationships with each other.
Yeah.
I was actually talking with Brandon Durden about this. I think a lot of times other companies that we've been a part of, you come in and you do so much work and it's all about the work that you don't ever really get a chance to feel like you get to know people. And so you always want to go out and have drinks, and you always want to do stuff outside of the theater. And for us, it doesn't seem as compelling. Granted, there's COVID and all these restrictions, but we are so well formed as a unit, and we have such personal relationships with each other that there's not this incessant need to go spend time outside of the theater, because when we're at the theater, we are we all have individual time with each other during the play, before the play, after the play. I've gotten to know each and every one of these guys, even some of the understudies, in very personal ways, and those are moments that the public might not be particularly interested in, but those are just as important in the longevity of a career.
Yeah.
Really getting to know people that you work with. Yeah.
You have a fascinating career. You can drink your water. Go ahead.
Can I? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a small one. This is all very casual. You have a really great career. I like researching you all over again, just following what you've done, everything. Where did your love for performing begin? Was there a defining moment for you when you said, "Wow, I want to try to be an actor and try to make a living at this"?
I think. Well, I've always been doing plays, and I've always enjoyed, performing.
Yeah.
And for it's evolved over time, you see, but there's always been an interest in there's nothing like being an 8-year-old and getting a room full of adults to laugh. It's just like, oh my God, there's something, it's indescribable. And then so that's always kind of been a part of my story. But I think when I was in college, I didn't major in theater, but I did plays, and people were always asking me to do that stuff, and I always said yes, and I always enjoyed it. And then a teacher of mine, who's a contemporary of Kate Wilson, she's a voice instructor, Gigi Buffington. Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Oh, yeah. So she is a very instrumental part in my journey. She was the one who strongly suggested that I come to New York and work with somebody that she recommended and really pursue it. And so I took her advice, and I did that. And and then I think the maturity of understanding what this was all about, really pursuing it, and the demand and the rigor, and what it really costs, was really something that kind of began on my journey here in New York, and I very much enjoy that part of it. Do you know what I mean?
So I forget who I was talking to, but they said, Richard, everybody reads a playbill and says, oh my God, this star has done all these great things, but no one knows about the in-between.
Right.
And I thought that was really fascinating. You could have 6 major credits, but no one realizes there were all those in-between moments when they were like, am I going to work again?
Right.
Or, you're a dad now.
That's
you're
right.
a dad. So, how do you juggle both of those things? Because I love your first check you got, I think, was some Samuel French off Broadway, right?
That's right.
Short festival. But everybody that must have been really a big deal to have that check and oh my God, I'm an actor. Someone's paying me for this.
That's right. I think I'm a very textbook actor in that way. It's like when you're young and when you're hungry, we are needy in the beginning. We're desperate, and we oftentimes are walking into rooms with that, not even being aware of it. We'll work for free, even to our detriment. And so the first time that somebody is willing to pay you, I mean, it's just a seismic shift. I mean, even if it's $25 or $50, it's like, oh my God, I've arrived. I mean, it is. And when you look back on those things, you can laugh. But in the moment, I mean, it is as real as anything. And I remember when I did my first play, my first full production play, it was Incident at Vichy with the Tact. And I was non-equity, and I got a check at the beginning, $500 stipend at the beginning. They had to hire 2 non-equities, and I was one of them. And then they gave you the check at the end. And I just remember, calling my mom on the phone that day, and I've made it. I'm a real actor. I'm a real actor.
Yeah.
I'm a professional actor. And there's a lot of that. And developing plays and workshopping plays. Brandon Durden knows a lot about this. He's always working with playwrights. He's always doing readings. He's always helping push, these plays forward. And I believe in that too. Plays need a lot of love and attention and massaging.
Yeah.
They need to be mounted and remounted and rewritten. And so, a lot of us do stuff like that as well. And I fortunately for me, I find that to be quite interesting.
Yeah. How has being a dad changed the way you look at your career?
Well, you really got to bring home the bacon. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, but more so, it's just, that's a good question. It's hard. It's a hard question for me to answer, but children do something to all adults, even if you don't like children. I think in some way, like they have certainly softened me and really made me see all of my shortcomings in all the best ways. I mean, they're just beautiful. They're just wildly fun, and watching them just start talking and having personalities, and there's an innocence and a playfulness that is necessary in the work that we do as adults. And when you get to be around children who are just living that and being reminded how simple it is, just peanut butter. It's just like, oh my God! And you're like, yeah, that's what we do. You forget that stuff as you get older. And so for me, my children have really have kind of brought that back in the forefront, among many other things.
Yeah. My final question is: you're about to end the run of Take Me Out. How are you going to be able to say goodbye to Shane and this company and Take Me Out in general? Because these kind of shows only come around once in a blue moon. Once in a lifetime.
You're right. I don't know. As you know, this is where, like, in this the heart of Tony's season, and so there's there's just so much happening between now and the next week and a half, and I am just maintaining what I've always maintained from the beginning, which is come to the theater and give this audience everything that you have. Make that the single most important thing, and everything else will just align as it will. Because I don't know what it's going to be like. I anticipate I'll be very, depressed. I mean, it's I've never had an opportunity quite like this, to play a part like this, and you're right, these things just don't come around. So I have a lot of gratitude, and I found, especially with Hand to God, I remember reminding myself over and over again, just take it all in, enjoy all of this, and if you can, then it's very, very difficult to look back and think about all the things that didn't happen, or all of the, and all of my memories from that show were just absolutely wonderful. And so I'm hoping that applying that same way of thinking will leave me kind of with the same feeling.
Yeah. And as an addendum, what this Tony nomination means to you?
It's kind of incomprehensible in a lot of ways, truthfully. It's not something I've ever really. I've wanted to be a professional actor. I've wanted to be able to make a living as an actor. And I've wanted to play parts. Those are kind of the main things. And I'd never thought about it. Like, I just, those things happen to other people. Those things happen to famous people, quite frankly. And so, like I said, I mean, all the enjoyment is wrapped up in playing Shane. And nothing can take away from the excitement and the gratitude of being nominated. And whatever happens is a win. And I'm so glad that our company is being recognized for this production, because I think all of those gentlemen deserve to be recognized. And personally, I just accept my nomination on behalf of all of them.
Yeah. Well, again, you're giving one of the finest performances of the season.
Thank you so very much for saying that.
Thank you for joining me today.
Anytime. I love chatting with you.
I love you.